Hello everyone, I'm Apurv. I'm a fourth year med student in University of Turin. Today we have Khushi with us and she is studying medicine in Italy. Khushi, would you like to introduce to our audience?
Hello everyone, I'm Khushi. I'm currently a second year medicine and surgery student at UNIVPM Ancona. I took the IMAT exam in 2024 and my score was 70.5, and now I'm here in Ancona and I'm studying medicine.
Perfect. Please tell us more about yourself. When did you come to know about it? How you managed everything?
Okay, so basically, I finished my 12th exam in 2022, and then just like any Indian student, I was appearing for the NEET exam. I appeared for it twice, but I was not really able to score enough marks to get admission into a government-funded college, and it was not really my interest to get into a private university by paying so much. So when I was looking for study abroad options, again I came across options like Russia, Ukraine, stuff like that, where again I had to pay a lot to just get into the university. So then while researching, I came across one of your channels and some of the other channels about IMAT, and I was really impressed by all the opportunities that were provided by IMAT. And so now then I took the IMAT exam in 2024. I was able to clear the exam, and now here I am studying here.
That's really cool. It's quite similar to my journey as well. So, if I may ask, how did you find NEET, like as in the sense of difficulty? And if you compare it to IMAT, how do you think the IMAT as an exam is?
I think NEET has one major demerit, which is the competition. So even if you are someone who is interested in studies and does good in academics, it's still a hard job to clear the NEET cutoffs because so many people are appearing for the exam itself. When we compare that to IMAT, IMAT has much less competition. So if you just do your job and study properly, then it becomes easier to crack the exam. Another thing is, I was very dissatisfied with all the corruption and the cheating going on with the NEET exam, and it really put my moral down that whether I would ever be able to qualify the exam given the circumstances. Another thing about IMAT and NEET is that the syllabus itself is less vast for IMAT compared to NEET. For example, in NEET we study a lot in biology, like the botany section of biology, which we don't really do in IMAT. We don't study a lot about the plant diversity, or about the plant morphology, anatomy, all of that boring stuff, which I was really bad at. So I might really test a lot more on zoology portion instead of botany. So, and it is the same with chemistry as well and physics as well, that we have lesser syllabus to cover for IMAT compared to NEET. So all in all, for me personally, IMAT became an easier option and a much more doable option.
Yeah, I can understand. Also, like I think it has become worse, like the situation with NEET in the past few years. It used to be a lot better than this, I remember in 2020 or 21. But yeah, in any case, so how you are in your second year, right?
Yes.
How's life as a second year med student in Italy?
So at UNIVPM, we are offered a comparatively unique course, which is a MedTech course. So it is a double degree course where we study the conservative medicine and surgery degree, but along with it, we have an opportunity to pursue a bachelor's in biomedical engineering. So combine both of these, it's called a MedTech degree. So again, based on that, because it is a double degree, we have more subjects compared to the other universities. We also have longer lessons, so a lot of my time just goes on in covering the lessons, taking the exams and all of that. But it's nice because again, the university itself gives me an opportunity to pursue a career which will have more futuristic goals, right? So like I will have more opportunities in the future, which is nice. And another thing is, what could be better than studying in Italy? I mean, the city itself has its own aesthetics, and it's so beautiful and it's so pretty that I just love it so much. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, this is what you wanted. You are kind of living your dream and trying to get where you want to be in your life. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. Keep going. So yeah, you talk to us about Ancona as a city. What do you think of it, and how's the life there?
I think I am really biased towards how pretty this city is, especially how pretty it gets in the summers. So Ancona, it's like filled with mountains and beaches and all of that. So the city, especially in summer, gets really pretty. Okay, so I really like it. You would generally find me studying in the, like, at the beach shores, or there are a lot of parks. I go study there, or I'm cafe hopping. So all of that. So I really like the city. Another thing is that it's really safe as well. So one of my major concerns was, as a female student, whether the city is going to be safe or not. And when I was applying for UNIVPM, I heard a lot of rumors about like Ancona not being safe, or like robbery and stuff like that happening a lot. But surprisingly, Ancona is very safe. So for instance, like because we have a double degree and our classes run till quite late, right? So sometimes it goes on till 8 p.m., and then like it takes time to commute back to the house, and then sometimes you just want to go outside and chill around. So even if you are out till 10, 11, 12, it is totally safe. There has not been any instance in my personal story where I felt unsafe. So that is a really big plus point for me, because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who is from Roma, and he was telling me how his charger got robbed, and I was very shocked, because I could literally leave all my self-worth in the cafe just to go get a coffee, and everything will be just fine. So that is there. So I really like it. And apart from that, Ancona is also really affordable. So like the living expenses are really economic compared to any other city, which is again a massive plus point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think cities like Rome and Milan are not, you would expect, because they are big cities and because like there are so many people there, it would be safer. But these cities, on the contrary, are some of the most problematic cities when it gets dark. But again, it's really good to know that Ancona as a city is safe, and because a lot of students have this concern, especially female students, that how is it there, is it safe, because we would not be with our family, we would be far from home. So I'm sure this will reassure a lot of uh, them students. Regarding, talk to us about the accommodation situation and the living expenses, so that students can get some idea about Ancona and how what they should expect from the city on these regards.
Okay, so if we talk about the living expenses first, the living expenses could depend on person to person, like based on how you choose to live your life. But if we assume, like, a low budget normal student, then if we talk about how much you would spend on your, let's say, your accommodation. So in Ancona, you could get, like, for a single person, you could get an accommodation ranging from 200 to like 600, whatever your limit is. But you can actually get a house at, like, like not a house, but like an apartment, a shared complex, at starting from 200s, and it could go on and on and on, right? So in that sense, it is very again very affordable. Then if I talk about the groceries in general, again, I feel like compared to the other cities, Ancona is much more cheaper. Okay, because we don't really have an maximum retail pricing system in Europe, right? So every city has their own cost for everything, right? So in that regard, Ancona is really affordable. It the groceries are, or like whatever you'll share spend on food or shopping and stuff like that, comparatively it's much more economic here.
Yeah, I have been told. I know about it. In fact, when you compare a city like Ancona to a city like Milan, Bologna, or Rome, it's like two different sides of like two different extremes. And even if you compare it to a city like Turin, like I think an average student would spend around 200 to 300 on groceries apart from rent, and rent is quite expensive as well. For a single room, if you want to have your own room in a shared apartment, you pay from 400 to 600 anything. Okay, and if you want to have your own studio or something like that, you pay a lot more, like 700, 800. So I want to ask you, what's the situation in Ancona regarding this? If you can give us some an overview on the prices so that students can have an idea.
Okay, so regarding accommodation, there's two part which we can discuss this about. Firstly, if we talk about the expenses, as I mentioned, if you want a single room, it could range anywhere from like 200 to however you want to go, however luxurious you want your apartment to be, but you could get a single room for yourself at around 200, 250, like that. Okay, and then if we talk about like a studio apartment, you could get it at around 500 per month, which is again pretty economic, I would say. Then because in a studio apartment you will get your room, then like a living area, washrooms, kitchen, so like basically a whole apartment to yourself. So that would cost around 500 starting from it to anywhere any longer. And so yeah, the prices itself are very affordable, even in like places near station, which is like a, you could say, because it is near station so it's a hot spot, but again prices are affordable even in the center of the city. If you are looking at the right time, you can find very affordable places. Again, as I mentioned though, the timing for accommodation in Ancona is really important, because at some point of the year it gets incredibly difficult to find accommodation. So you have to time your accommodation finding journey, right? So you have to start looking for houses at a certain time where there are more houses in the market to rent. And especially for students, because here they have separate houses for students and workers, so there are only specific people who rent for students. So again, there is no, I would not say there's deficiency or lack of accommodation per se, but then again, after some point of time when the season is gone, it gets harder and harder to get an accommodation. But yeah, so that is, I guess, a flaw, but again, that could be overcome by nice planning.
Okay, so you are saying that on average, let's consider an ideal student, an average person trying to manage their living expenses. So let's say they would get their accommodation for somewhere between 250 to 350, 400, let's say, max 400. And how much do you think would they spend on groceries?
I mean, if it is a single person who is also cooking for themselves, again, it could go anywhere from 80 euros to 120, like that. But again, it it all depends on how much you are consuming and how you consume. Like again, so it, because for example, if you're shopping during the weekends, it gets much cheaper because there are a lot of sales. So if you make it a habit to shop during the weekends, you will probably be done with your grocery for a month in 50 euros or 60 euros, like that, right? And even if you don't, that is also fine. It's going to be around 70, 80 euros, that's it. So and so that will cover your basic groceries. And then if you want to go out at some point or go shopping, add more or less 50 euros again, so that is pretty much going to be it. So anything around 150 to 200 will be your monthly living expenses.
Okay, so if we consider 120, so we can establish that a student can live in Ancona for let's say 250 plus 550. So for between 400 to 550 euros, you can comfortably live in the cities. 400 to 550 euros every month. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm sure this information will be really helpful for the students who are seeing Ancona or UNIVPM as an option. Talk to us about the MedTech course. How do you find it? I have heard from some students that they find the course a bit difficult because they also teach some mathematics from the biomedical engineering part. So yeah, please talk to us about it.
I mean, whether it is difficult or not, it would depend on student to student, but definitely the course load is more because, as I mentioned, it is a double degree course. Now, again, the double degree here is optional, okay, so you can choose to take or not take the double degree. However, even if you do not take the biomedical engineering degree, you still have to do the most of the biomedical courses, okay, only some of the courses are optional. If you take those optional courses, you would be eligible to apply for the second degree. If you do not take those optional courses, then you cannot take the second degree. But these optional courses are like 40% of the extra courses that we have. We still have to do some of the extra courses mandatorily for the biomedical engineering, okay.
So you have to do like 60% anyways.
Anyways, yeah, so it's like then it's like, if you're gonna do it, then rather do all of it so that you will have, like, a better scope in the future, right? So
Yeah, and I think that 60% is also like you have to study it for medicine anyways.
no, because I mean, you tell me. For example, we have biomechanics. We have like, we have to study about computer science and art studio stuff like that. So we have a bit more. We study a lot more about, like, the mechanical aspect that goes on into medicine. For example, like, like robotics that are applied in medicine, like, now robots are able to do the surgery, so we are even taught, like, so how the robots are built, or, like, what is the mechanism behind that, or so, like, if you like, if you're interested in pursuing something else which is in the medical field but not really a conservative doctor, then you are free to do that, just to put it out there. But they do not cut anything out of the conservative medical course, so we are taught everything that any other university teaches for the medicine degree, except for that we are added with a lot more on the sides. Now, because we have a lot more, so we have more classes and we have lesser holidays, I would say. We have more exams to take. But then again, for me personally, it's a very fruitful way of spending my time, because eventually it provides me with a lot more opportunities in the future compared to others, I would say. And because of the time that we are in, I think we all should know about technology to some extent. So, all in all, it is a nice course, but it definitely involves a lot of maths and physics and computers and stuff like that. So, if it is your cup of tea, if you are someone who is interested in all of this, you would find the course to be really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure some students would find it really fun, really intriguing, really interesting, but I'm sure some would be quite scared of it as well because the name of mathematics scares some students, as we know. But yeah, thank you for talking to us about the course, about the difficulty, and how this course is, because there's a lot of confusion around this, and I don't think people know how clearly the double degree works. So thank you for taking us through. And a lot of students also have the doubt regarding scholarship. So how's the scholarship situation? Are you on a scholarship?
Yes, so I have received my scholarship, and the scholarship providing body here in Ancona is ERDIS. Okay, now with the thing with Erdis is it is really infamous for having strict deadlines and, like, being really strict about what sort of documentation it needs and what sort of wordings it needs in the documentation and all of that. So for example, if you miss out on anything, like, a very specific word, example, if you write total instead of gross, they might cancel your application. So they are really strict about it, and it people get really very angry about it. But then again, at the end of the day, it all boils down to the fact that if you do it like properly as per their guidelines, like 100% according to their guidelines, they will make sure that you get the scholarship. I was able to get the scholarship because of you, because you and your team did the documentation for the scholarship for me, so I was able to receive the scholarship. But I know a lot of my friends who were not able to, and they missed their scholarships just because their documentation had some tiny errors and they missed the deadline, stuff like that.
Yeah, that happens a lot. In fact, this is not just true about Ancona, but with a lot of universities in Italy. The scholarship process can be really complicated. There are these deadlines. You have to be very careful with the documents, and because different scholarship bodies, different regions ask you to make documents in different ways. They have different years of data and stuff. So yeah, I do think that if things are not clear, you should seek help, and I think it's a smart thing to do, because it's a lot of money and it will basically fund your year. So, and another thing I wanted to ask, how does the scholarship work? Like, do you get the full amount for 6 years at once, or because a lot of students want to know this as well? And when do you get the first amount? Do you get it in installments? How does it work? And what's the amount, if I may ask?
Okay, so we do get it in installments, right? So the scholarship could range from 7,000 to 8,000 euros annually based on your economic condition, whether what course you are in, whether you are in a STEM course. It even, like, for females, they have an extra 50% increment, 15% increment. So like that. So it ranges from 7,000 to 8,000 annually. Now, at this, if you have okay, so in erdis it is important to, like, you cannot choose to not have accommodation and canteen. Okay, so you have to select that option. So if they have enough room for accommodation, they will give you a hostel, else they will give you the money out, else they will give you the money to get a accommodation for yourself. If they give you a hostel, then they will decrease the amount from the total 7 to 8,000 euros that you're getting annually.
So the whole scholarship is worth, let's say, 8,000 euros every year, and you get it every year in two installments. You have to apply for it every year, right? So you apply for, let's say you apply for the second year in your first year. So you will get the first installment, you will get the second installment. The total worth will be 8,000 euros. Okay. Okay, now, just to be clear, in this 8,000 euros, you also have the rent amount included. So if you get assigned a hostel from the scholarship body, they will deduct the rent amount from this 8,000, right?
Yes, and also the canteen. So, like, if you opt for the Mensa fooding, then they will also deduct the amount from the canteen.
If I don't opt for the food part, will I get that money or no?
I think it is a mandatory. So that is a problematic option here in this, that you cannot choose not to opt for an accommodation. Okay, if you do not opt for an accommodation, they will not give you the money for the accommodation. Okay,
Okay, this is a very useful information.
so you opt for an accommodation and they provide you a hostel. And if they are not able to provide you a hostel, then only they give you the money for it, if that makes sense.
So if the hostel is not available, they will give you that part of the money so that you can find your accommodation and bear your expenses. Okay, yeah, that's actually, that seems a bit twisted, and thank you for helping us going through this. So, what are the steps for application in UniVPM?
So the for most uni, the first step is gonna be pre-enrollment. But for UniVPM, there's something called pre-evaluation that you have to do. Till the last year, I guess, or a couple years till my year, it was not a mandatory step to do because it was generally a step for other courses. Like they in the step they basically evaluate whether you are eligible for to apply for UniVPM or not. But in the recent years, this step has become a mandatory. So now you have to do pre-evaluation first, and then you have to do your pre-enrollment, and then you basically take the exam, the IMAT exam. And while doing that, you obviously, if you want, you have to apply for the regional scholarship from ERDIS, okay? And then you take the exam, and if you pass the exam, then they will if you show up in the merit list, then there is a couple of procedure that the university will help you to get enrolled in the university. And then basically you have to apply for your visa, and once you get your visa, you can fly over here. And because for many people it takes time for their visa to get issued, in that time frame, the students who are enrolled in UniVPM, they get online classes access, so that you don't miss your classes.
Yeah, thank you for taking us through that. So, how did you manage to do all this? Was it stressful to take care of these things while preparing for the exam? Because the exam has become a lot more competitive these years. The cutoffs are really high, as we know. So, how did you manage all this?
I mean, I did not had to do a lot because you did it for me. So I was more focused on completing my syllabus and preparing for the exam itself. But I know for students who who do it on their own, and it gets a bit tricky for them because, as I mentioned, the deadlines are really strict, and we have to make a lot of documents that students generally don't even know about. Like in our day-to-day life, we never need these documents as such, so it gets really confusing. For me, it was a pretty smooth process because of your team. But I mean, it totally boils down to the choice. If somebody is going with an external help, it becomes more easier to sort of focus on the exam and the exam prep itself. But I also know people who do both, so I guess it's all a choice.
Yes, I completely agree with that. In fact, I myself did my process back in 2022 on my own. And since then, I have done it for over 45, 50 students, and around 25 of them are studying in Italy now, studying medicine in Italy. Some of them are also in different courses. Now, the thing is, if you think that it's too much to do and you are getting started now, like in May or June or in late April, I do think that you should seek for help. We do provide help at very reasonable prices. But if you feel like, okay, you can do the process on your own just by asking some doubts here and there, I do think that's possible. Students have done it, I have done it, and I'm sure you can do it as well. And you can still join our community. Our community is open. Even in that case, we try to answer the doubts, answer the questions. You can join our WhatsApp group, Telegram group, and we welcome you to with your questions. Now, moving on. So, it was really nice talking to you. It was, I'm sure we cleared a lot of doubts today. Would you like to have any parting words for students who want to apply for UniVPM?
So I hope firstly that I was able to solve as many doubts as I could about life in Italy and UniVPM especially. Um, so for anyone who is applying for UniVPM, my first word would be that if you in doubt, make sure to reach the UNIVPM authorities, the helpline for the international student. They are really helpful. Okay, so they really do reply to the mails as and when they can. So if you have any doubts, or if you end up doing some mistake, try and reach out to the authorities and on the website and stuff, and they will help you with it. Secondly, the course could be intimidating, but then again, if it is your cup of tea, then you're gonna enjoy it a lot. The teachers are really nice, and you will have, because we have a lot of seats for international students reserved. So even the community here is very nice. You will find like-minded people that you could have, and again, study well for your exam. And if you're applying for UNIVPM, then I hope I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Khushi. Again, guys, you should be careful about the university that you're choosing, as it is very important. And you should look at the past year cutoffs. You should try solving a mock test and see where you stand. And you should study consistently. This exam provides you with a very great opportunity, I would say, where you get to study medicine in Europe. For essentially, it's free because you get paid to study medicine in Europe. Like, it seems like a unrealistic situation. So work hard for it. If you need any help, we have all sorts of help that we provide. We can take care of the process for you. We can help you with the IMAT preparation at very reasonable prices. So yes, if you have any doubts, you can ask us in the comments. You can also join our Telegram and WhatsApp group. You can also contact me on my email ID, or write us, get in touch with us through our Instagram. So I'm looking forward and I'm sure Khushi is looking forward to seeing you guys in Ancona next year. So thank you very much for watching this video, and good luck.